Delighted to be joined online by Jason Bell, an NFL American football pundit for BBC, and also in an illustrious playing career, played as a quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, Houston Texans and New York Giants. Jason be very well known throughout Ireland, as BBC is one of the most prominent channels, and every weekend thousands upon thousands of Irish American football fans tune in to see Jason and OC in the American football show. So first of all, Jason, an absolute delight to have you on our show this evening, and your own reactions, I suppose. Wow, what a Super Bowl.
Oh, what a Super Bowl, and I love Ireland. Let's just make that clear for obvious reasons. I love it out there. And what a Super Bowl we had. I mean, you knew it was going to be good because they had the two best teams in the NFL. And because of that, you expected a show, and that's what we had. We had the best quarterback in football right now, Patrick Mahomes, bring his team back to a victory all on his arm. It was amazing what that kid was able to do, and we just saw stars and highlights the whole game.
Yeah, and I suppose, Jason, add to the excitement. I know there's an awful lot of New England and Patriot fans spread across Ireland, but there was a level of excitement for the Super Bowl this year, because going into it, everyone was undecided. It was probably one of the best defensive teams in the NFL in San Francisco, a newcomer coming from nowhere, and in Kansas City coming so close with the superstar Mahomes, and people were a bit undecided. People couldn't really, it was a hard one to call, and it was something different from the Patriots.
Yeah, that's what the NFL is all about. It's all about parity. The way it's designed, it's hard to maintain a team and to stay on top forever because of the way the draft works and things of that nature. So you always knew that there was going to be a team to come and give the Patriots a run for their money. And what it was going to take in the AFC was somebody with a great elite quarterback. And once Pat Mahomes was drafted by Kansas City, and with the tutelage of Andy Reid, you knew that was a threat. You see with Baltimore and Lamar Jackson, there is a threat. This is just how the NFL works. And of course, in San Fran, I mean, with that defense, the best defense in football, they drafted and put a lot of resources in that defensive line, and you see it, and that's why they were able to do what they did. So it's just the way the NFL works. You have only so much money, and you only have so much time, and you go out there and get the best players you can and try to build the team that way.
And I suppose, Jason, the final itself, now we speak a bit more detail about the game. I suppose the first quarter for a team coming into Super Bowl the first time in 50 years, it was a great start for Kansas City. Mahomes going over after roughly their first move up the field, and you sort of got worried for San Francisco, because you sort of felt early on that basically their drive wasn't working. They were trying to throw the football, they were trying to go away from the sort of the norm, and it was sort of feeding into Kansas. And once they got into that 10-0 lead, you were saying, right, San Francisco need to score next, or Kansas could really put on a big lead here.
Yeah, it was one of the games where you knew field goals weren't going to cut it. Every time you got down in the red zone with the opportunity to score, you were going to have to come away with points if you were San Francisco, because your big fear was that Pat Mahomes can do what he had done in all the previous playoff games and what he did in the Super Bowl, which is light up the scoreboard very quickly and score points in chunks like he does. So their game plan was, and they executed their game plan, San Francisco, really well. They did what they had did all year. They got them there. It's just Pat Mahomes and that magic he had. I mean, some of those throws he was making, he still had pressure in his face. He was going backwards. It was one of those things where the best player in football literally beats you.
Yeah, and I suppose, Jason, the second quarter, San Francisco and Jimmy Garoppolo decided, right, I'm going to give the ball, especially to the likes of Deebo Samuels. And Deebo Samuels, if an MVP could be presented in the Super Bowl for each quarter, no doubt Deebo Samuels was the MVP of the second quarter. The amount of runs he made throughout that corner, right up the heart of the Kansas defense for numerous first downs. And he was on the receiving end as well of a Garoppolo pass. So it sort of things began to click for San Francisco in the second quarter, and right at the heart of that was Deebo Samuels.
Yeah, I like the plan they had with Deebo Samuels, and I truly believe he would have been the MVP if San Francisco would have won. And it's all their big runs came off of the reverses he was running and the passes with the crossing route. I mean, I knew he was going to be a big part of their game plan because he had just gotten better all year as it's progressed, and he is a perfect fit for what Kyle Shanahan wants to do. And that's what I meant when I said earlier, everything was ticking for them. Everything was clicking. The way they wanted to play was working out. It's just hard when you're playing against somebody as elite as a quarterback as they have in Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes, that you cannot leave any points on the field. And I think the biggest play of that game was the pass interference on Kittle. That was an unbelievable throw by Garoppolo. If they get that, they go down and score, we have a different game.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things you had to come away with points every time you had the opportunity if you were San Francisco.
And probably the touchdown of the game itself was the Kyle Juszczyk touchdown. He showed miraculous footwork to catch, not only to catch it, but spin, turn going backwards. And he's been a revelation for San Francisco, a dangerous player on offense and defense. And it was really a quality touchdown, Juszczyk's touchdown. The throw by Garoppolo was spot on, and Juszczyk had an awful lot to do. It wasn't an easy touchdown by any means.
Say that again, I'm sorry, cut up.
Kyle Juszczyk's touchdown, the way he finished it, it wasn't an easy score by any means.
Whose touchdown? I'm sorry.
Kyle Juszczyk's, the first touchdown for San Francisco.
Oh, you checked?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So with him, the main thing he's one of the most important players they have on their team, regardless if he touches the ball or not. I mean, he's on the field for every down. And, a lot of people don't use their fullback like they do with him. So it's just he is dynamic, and he allows them to do so much. And you see what happens. He can make all the difficult catches. Most fullbacks can't do that. But he is probably one of the most important players on that offense. Period. They're able to run the ball because of his lead blocking, and once again, the kind of receiver he is out of the backfield.
Yeah, and do you feel that Kyle Shanahan went away a bit from his norm in the first quarter and then went back to what was working so well? Do you think Shanahan was trying to come out with a few sort of jokers to try and throw Andy Reid off in trying to mix it up a bit for San Francisco? And do you think maybe it unsteadied them because it was a very nervous opening first quarter for San Francisco? In fact, Kansas looked the more settled side, given that they were in their first Super Bowl for 50 years.
Man, I think that Kyle Shanahan ran the offense that San Francisco has always done. I think the problem with the narrative was all week people were saying Garoppolo can't throw the ball. They've got to run. They can't do this. They can't do this. So whenever we saw watching the game, it tilted towards him having to throw and things of that nature. And any negative plays, everybody went to that narrative because that's what was spoken of. When you look at the way they played, it was a perfect game plan for San Francisco. That is the way they were built. They were built to get a lead early and the defense hold the lead. That is what they were supposed to do. The defense did not hold the lead. So the way he was running his plays, I believe, was the way that offense is dictated and how it goes and how it flows. I don't think Kyle Shanahan panicked at all, went away from the run at all. I think he called the plays that were there. Once again, you have to call the plays that can beat the defense. If they're trying to stop something, you just don't hammer your head in there and not try to adjust. They did what they were supposed to do. They are built to play from a lead, and the defense closed out the game, and that didn't happen.
And I suppose, Jason, being there yourself in Miami at halftime, but locked 10-10, discussing the game at Mark and OC, what were your thoughts, and what was the thoughts at halftime? Did you have an inkling of what way it was going to go? I know OC says defense wins championships, but were you sort of concerned that maybe the Kansas weren't ahead at halftime, or did you felt San Francisco needed to be headed more? And what was your reaction? Did you actually know at halftime what way it was going to turn out?
You know, what I was thinking at halftime was I wanted to see the second half adjustment. What I mean is I can tell a lot by coaching staffs, by who comes out in the third quarter and starts fast. That means they've made really good adjustments, or they've corrected some things. So what our discussion was, let's see what happens in this third quarter. Let's see what staff either has a beat on the team and is like, hey, what we've been doing is working, let's continue, or this is how they're attacking us, let's adjust and go from there. And what I saw coming out of that is I saw Kansas City's defense, especially Spagnuolo, the coordinator, say, okay, this is what's happening. We're going to have to adjust this. And he started pressuring a lot more. And the way they started doing it and design pressures, and that adjustment is the one thing I saw clearly. So coming out of second half, I'm just looking for who makes the best adjustment, because it was such a tightly contested game.
Yeah, and Jason, in the third quarter, a real good drive up the field by San Francisco led to Raheem Mostert going over from close range. But I was watching it there myself, and I just felt when the pass went to Tyreek Hill and it came off Tyreek Hill and Tarvarius Moore picked it off, and then Mahomes getting picked off again, which is very rare because only 5 times throughout the whole season did Patrick Mahomes get picked off. So in 2 possessions to get picked off, the whole tide, the whole momentum seemed to be with San Francisco at that stage. And little did we know what the bang did Mahomes and Andy Reid come back in the fourth quarter. But that third quarter itself, when you saw Mahomes getting picked off twice in a row, I suppose it must have been general shock, really.
Oh, it was a huge shock. And the main thing was watching him on the sideline. You know, he put his head down. And the one thing I said, and we were talking about in the booth, was this is where you are going to define Patrick Mahomes. Like, the stories are going to start here. And why I said that was, why we were saying this was, they're going to show how he responds to this. And that, whatever he does, this is going to be how we define him. And I didn't know it was going to happen. But he knew he had played his worst game, period. And it was and it was only one way he could go, and that is to get his team to believe in him again, and he makes some throws. Now, he has some of the best weapons in the NFL as far as his receiving options. So once he was able to start making throws, and they got those huge chunk plays, they believe in him so much, the momentum shifts so quickly. And that's what a quarterback does for you, an elite quarterback. You know, once he gets hot, anything can happen. And that's why you said something earlier. The momentum shift was unbelievable in the third quarter because of that. I mean, it's just he got hot, and the team knew if our guy gets going, we can beat anybody. And he never put his head in the sand. You saw him frustrated on the sideline, but he just kept throwing the ball, and that's the key. Don't get scared. He didn't get scared and hesitant to pull the trigger. He just threw the ball like he always has.
And that play at the start of that fourth, that 50 or 60 yards to Sammy Watkins, an unbelievable throw, given the length and going across field, and that was a pivotal moment, because if Kansas hadn't converted on that down, they would have been forced to punt. But it brought Kansas from right back in their 20 roughly to the other end, 20 yards out, and we all know what happened then. They went straight over from the following play. Travis Kelce, Mahomes found Kelce and banged in. Mahomes was at it, game on, and San Francisco were like, whoa.
Yeah, that throw to Watkins was huge. I mean, I didn't like the position Richard Sherman was in the coverage. Like, I didn't think that was a good technique on his behalf. So it was one of those plays where when everything goes down as a player, and coaches always say this, whatever we call, somebody's got to win. And Sammy Watkins is an elite athlete, and they paid him a ton of money to come over there because of this situation. Like, what are you going to do? You can't double Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Sammy Watkins on the same play. So somebody has to win, and he won on the outside. It was an unbelievable route. Once again, I didn't like the way the coverage was, and the technique and the call, but their man beat the other man, and it was an unbelievable throw once again by Patrick Mahomes. But that's what they do. That's how they're built. Both of these teams play the way they're supposed to play. That's why this was a great game. Nobody's team and their skill position basically went to sleep. Everybody showed up. And that's why we had the game we had.
And Jason, maybe you can explain to us about the Damian Williams first try, how it stood in relation to, he tipped a corner of the red end zone, but it looked like that he was out of play himself. In rugby and soccer and all other sports, that if a player's outside actual field the play, it doesn't count, but it was a contact where a point of his body touched the end zone before his whole body was out, or that touchdown.
When he scored and the one he scored, he went across the line, correct?
Yeah.
The one. Well, once the ball breaks the line, that's it. That's all you got to look at. When you look at all the body parts, it gets confusing because once it comes down to that goal line, once that ball crosses and it's in your possession, it is a touchdown. And that is the one place on the field where that is the rule of law. So all you need to watch down there is the ball. If it crosses the plane and it's in your hand, it is a touchdown. All the other stuff and rules don't even matter.
Yeah, and I suppose, Jason, you probably know Andy Reid yourself. You probably might have come across him in your own career. 222nd time he's finally a Super Bowl champion. One time there in the past, he fell short to the New England Patriots when he was in charge of Philadelphia, I think. And for Andy Reid, around there a long time, from people coaching Brett Favre in Green Bay, and it almost felt like if he didn't do it, then he would be retiring with that one super fantastic coach, but not a Super Bowl champion.
Yeah, I mean, everybody who knows Andy Reid was rooting for him. He's a great guy. Players love him, and they wanted him to get that Super Bowl. I think that's why a lot of 49ers fans, they're upset they didn't win, but nobody's upset that Andy Reid got a Super Bowl. I think he's just got that kind of reputation, and you're right. He had a bunch of wins. He's been very successful. He's had a Hall of Fame career, but if you don't get that championship as a head coach, that is the asterisk. That is the question mark. And he solidified himself in football history and lore because he was able to pull this out. He was able to make this happen. And I think if you probably ask him, it's well worth the wait, especially with Patrick Mahomes, because this is a guy that they bet their future on. And look what happened. I mean, they got rid of Alex Smith, who was a winning quarterback. I mean, a lot of things changed once number 15 got in their building. And that's all to Andy Reid's credit. So he's got to be happy. And obviously, Kansas City is overwhelmed with joy.
And finally, Jason, before I let you go, looking and reflecting back on the old NFL season, aside from the Super Bowl final and aside from the achievements of Kansas and San Francisco, what would you think were the other sort of stories in relation to an NFL season, in relation to maybe a surprise team that really caught your eye and really had a terrific year, and then probably a big dog or a big team that was expected to have a really good season, but probably when it came to the crunch wasn't in the reckoning? Was the Tennessee Titans, was that really one of the big stories?
That was definitely definitely a big story, but for me, it was the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, Lamar Jackson, he's the story this year. I mean, Patrick Mahomes was the MVP of the playoffs, Super Bowl MVP. He gets all the credit, MVP last year. But, I mean, think about what Lamar Jackson did for the NFL this year. Every second he was on the field, everybody was just waiting. They were just waiting. They were waiting for something electric to happen. His own teammates, literally the defensive side, is watching him thinking, what is Lamar going to do? So what he has done for that team is amazing. Anybody who plays against Baltimore Ravens is ready to see what Lamar Jackson's going to do. So I'm just excited for his future and what he has done for the position and how they can now find players that have his skill set or even other skill sets and let them flourish. Just get behind them. So I really like Baltimore and what they did, and I really thought they built a team that was Super Bowl ready with some of the trades they did. I just like all their moves all season. As far as the disappointment, it was the Cleveland Browns, and it's only because they dominated the offseason narrative by their moves. Everybody was talking about them, and I knew it's hard to go from bad to good. But to go from bad to great is it's not heard of. So I knew they were going to have some stumbles and try to figure it out. I wasn't that confident in their offensive line, but I didn't think they would play to the level they have. And I think they'll step it up next year because I think Baker Mayfield is finally going to get a grip of what it means to be a quarterback in the NFL.
And Jason, just on that topic, one last thing came to mind. I suppose all the talk during the summer was Antonio Brown, one of the superstars of the NFL. His proposed move where he moved and traded, and then he moved again to the Patriots. And you think Antonio Brown with the Patriots, with Tom Brady, and he's released. And Antonio Brown in an NFL season, playoffs, not even featuring, not taken by anyone. An awful sort of disappointment for all American sort of football fans. And going forward, Antonio Brown, has his star waned because of what has happened throughout the year, and is he ever going to get back to where he was? And what, for all the excitement, I suppose, what a disaster for American football fans and for himself as well.
Yeah, I think you said it best. It's really disappointing for fans. They want to see him out there. He's one of the greatest and really himself, I just think everybody deserves a second chance. I mean, I hope I've made plenty of mistakes in my life and people have given me second chances, so I definitely think he deserves a second chance. That being said, I think he's got some things he needs to figure out, and hopefully he does. And it sounds like, from everything I'm hearing, is the NFL is giving him all the support he can to make sure he can do that and be a better member of society.
Jason Bell, on that note, an absolute pleasure talking to you on the airwaves this evening. An absolute pleasure as well watching you on our TV screens in Ireland throughout all the NFL season, on the Saturday evenings after Match of the Day, and on the Sunday nights after Match of the Day as well. And Jason, we look forward to seeing you again next year on our TV screens, and hopefully we can catch up next year and speak around this time again and probably reflect on another Super Bowl.
That will be cool. Thank you very much, and appreciate everybody watching.
Okay, thank you, Jason.
All right, cool. Thanks.